Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 70. In this episode, I speak with my good friend, Daniel John Silva. This was truly a gift as Daniel moved to Spain about a year ago, and he's back in town. I was back in town, and we were able to make this podcast happen. This is his second appearance, but the first one of us doing it in person. And great conversation. Daniel's an amazing guy with lots of insights, and I truly appreciated him taking the time to make this happen. The book of the episode is going to be Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This is a phenomenal book. Marcus wrote this as his personal diary, never intending the world to see it, but you truly get to sit inside the mind of a genius, a true stoic and leader. I can't recommend this book enough. Again, it's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. If you want to listen to the podcast, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to watch the podcast, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. And without further ado, here's my conversation with Daniel. Daniel Silva, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Thank you.
Again, this time in person.
Part two,
man.
Thanks for having me, man. It's great to be here.
Great to be here, man. It's like... we were going to do this a year ago, but right when you were about to move to Spain.
That's right.
But it didn't work out. And I know you probably had 1,000 things going on. I had 1,000 things going on. But when you said you were back in town, it was one of those like, there's the window.
Yeah.
Like, can we catch it?
That's right.
Can we catch it? And you're like, you do Thursday night? You're like, yeah, let's do it.
It was great because I was still planning all my things around my vacation. And you were the first one to say, okay, this day, this time, will this make it happen? These are all the details. Like, I love that. I love that organization.
Yeah, I'm definitely a planner. So Thursday night, what is this, today's date? August 3rd, you locked it in.
August 3rd, yep.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
So to catch people up, you moved to Spain pretty much a year ago, right? It was a little more than a year ago?
Yeah, I moved. My plane left July 26th. And I came here for this vacation July 26th. So it was exactly 1 year.
Literally a year.
Yeah.
And you were in LA for how long again before you moved?
9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to catch up on.
Quick to say, but yeah, 9 years.
So my first question is, what was it like landing back in Los Angeles after being gone for a year?
Well, even from the first moment, a lot of nostalgia, you know. I used to, I still think that LA is kind of an ugly city. Sorry, but yeah, it's pretty ugly. But there's all these memories and nostalgia, you know. Especially when, the other day I went to visit my old house, and that was
I saw that.
That was very nostalgic.
And you threw a lot of parties there and gatherings.
Yeah. And you were there. Yeah,
I attended one of those.
You were at my goodbye party. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say LA is an ugly city, I mean, can you give me some specifics? I'm not disagreeing completely.
I'm sorry for all the Angelinos that love LA. It's very charming in many ways, but just the structure of the city. There's a lot of in between, you know. There's like a lot of cartilage, you know. there's Century City here, Beverly Hills there, but there's a lot of in between where it's just roads and it's just freeways and a little mall with a 7-Eleven and a McDonald's and things like that. You know?
So that's interesting. So you're not even meaning like it's run down, even though parts are, but but you're saying like the layout of it.
Yeah, but I knew that from the start. Like it was City of Stars, my dream, and all that. But it's an ugly city. I mean, let's be real, right? It's not the prettiest city out there, in my opinion. Yeah.
And where are you at in Spain right now?
Madrid.
Madrid. Now, how big a city is that?
It's pretty big. I would say it's bigger than San Francisco.
Wow.
Smaller than LA, you know. So
that's pretty big.
Yeah. Madrid. I mean, I guess if you count it in terms of people, it's about 5.5 million people.
That's not a small place.
Yeah. It's a big city. Yeah.
And is that where you were from? Now catch me up. I know we talked on the last part, but that's where you were born originally?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Madrid. My family still lives there. That was part of the reason why I moved back. My parents are there. My sister, my niece, and my nephew are there. So, you know, it's an important factor, you know.
And how's that experience been moving there this past year?
It's been great and terrible at the same time.
Yeah,
you know,
explain.
No, it's always great to be close to family. I have a good relationship with my family, but of course, when you're so used to living on your own and doing your own thing.
Ah,
When I first moved back, I had to be with my parents for a month until I found a place. And, once we're adults, we don't want to live with our parents anymore. But in general, it's been great. And I guess we'll get into this more later, but it's been great for me acting wise,
you booked a lot of work over there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Coming back. Well, a lot, at least for me, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of commercials, a lot of
Yeah.
movies.
So this year, from April until now, it's been 3 commercials and a movie.
That's a lot of work, man.
So it's pretty good. Just
That's
keep
a
it
pretty
up.
good business
Keep
move.
it up. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to shout you out again, Bacon Bad.
Oh, Bacon Bad.
Eric, I definitely got to show you this out. I mean,
Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Absolutely.
You're Bacon Bad, bitch.
So to catch people up, it was
Yeah.
a Breaking Bad parody
Yeah.
that got selected on Tosh.0, right?
Yeah, so it was 2 different things. So when I first moved to LA, well, I guess I can make the story longer, but
We got time, so yeah.
When I first moved to California, I stopped in Northern California first because my grandparents used to live in Mendocino.
Oh, okay.
You know that little town?
I know you had family up
Yeah,
there.
Northern California. That's where I spent a year when I was in high school, and that's where I really started taking acting classes and improv and all that. And my old acting teacher told me there was a play and there was a part available with someone my age and sort of my type. So I did it. I don't know if I even had to audition. I just did it. And I did a 3-month run of that play. And that plan was to do that and then come down to LA. And one day after my play, I saw Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad in one of the bars there. It's like, wow, it's Aaron Paul. Got a picture taken. I talked to him a little bit because I was a huge fan of Breaking Bad, right? And that was it. 2 days later, I'm working out at the local health club, and he walks again. And I said hi to him again, and I told him I'm an actor. I want to move to. I was one of those annoying actors, like, "Hey, I'm an actor. Give me some tips,"
And where is this at exactly?
This was in Northern California.
This is in Northern California.
Mendocino. It's way up north.
What was he doing up there?
Well, he was filming the Need for Speed movie.
Ah.
Yeah. So it was such a weird coincidence.
Divine timing.
Yeah, because in LA, you're kind of used to running into
Yeah.
celebrities, but up in this little town in Mendocino, it's not so common, right?
Yeah.
And so I talked to him some more, and I said, "Hey, where's a good place to live?" And he was like, "I don't know, man. The Valley or something is more affordable." He kind of talks like that a little bit. But he was really nice, really, really nice. I was the annoying one. And anyway, that happened. I moved to LA. I started doing student films and all that. And my first short film was Bacon Bad, where I had to play him. I
didn't know that first part. I don't think. I don't think I knew that first part of you meeting him.
So that was a coincidence. I had part of the research done, and then of course I watched the entire show again to get into the character and all that. So I played him, and that was the project that made me SAG eligible
Wow.
from the start.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah. And then 2 years later, I was at home. I was just self-submitting through Actors Access, and I see the Tosh.0 notice, and it says Breaking Bad parody. Send your videos or what? So I just took Bacon Bad and sent it to them, and they booked me on Tosh.0 playing him again.
Wow.
So God has put me on this earth to be Aaron Paul.
I don't know, man. The Valley.
Valley or something.
Dude, that's actually you had a pretty fast start out here then. I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah, it was a great start. Then there were some slow times, let's be real. We all have those. But yeah, it started out well.
What I'm sure there's similarities and there's differences to the work you're doing out there compared to out here. Take me through like what it's like out there being an actor.
Well, out there, both when I first started before coming here and now coming back, most of the work I've done has been commercials. Like they shoot a ton of commercials there. And they're fun. They're fun to do. There are a lot of very creative directors. There are a lot of, for some reason, there are also a lot of Argentinian directors there. I don't know why. The commercials are great. I did a film this time around and another film originally. TV, I'm not that familiar with over there. There's a ton of TV going on here. In terms of, I don't know, acting classes, I kind of prefer them here. I like the way of working here. There's more seriousness about it, which aligns more with my personality, or my obsessive nature about certain things. But at the same time, there's a certain happiness to living there, which for actors can be beneficial to our work. You know what I mean?
I do. Can you go more into
Yeah.
that? Yeah, happiness to live.
Well,
People are
I don't
enjoying
know.
life more. you're
Yeah, I think people take life less seriously, and there's more socializing. There's more sharing your life with your friends. So for me, because I'm a social person, that helps me when I go to an improv show, an improv class, or a commercial audition. Those things help to keep you loose in a sense, right? And I think, but this is just my experience, right? I think here, sometimes you can get too serious because all you hear is you got to be professional, you got to have a work ethic, you got to do the work, and you got to be on time and never be late to set, and all those things, which of course is very important. But we're actors. Like, the whole point of being an actor, in my opinion, is to play. That's why it's called a play, right? Because you go and you play, right? And you read an old play and it says the players, right? For the characters and the actors. So of course, it's a very competitive business. And of course, you got to work hard and have a work ethic and have attention to detail, and things like that are tremendously important. But if you forget to play, then why are you an actor? Right? Even if you do drama, I think one of my I did some workshops with Larry Moss. I was going to say one of my acting coaches, Larry Moss, said you have to find the comedy in the drama, and the drama in the comedy, right? Or the seriousness in the comedy. And I think that's very important.
I think you're the one that told me about his book, The Intent to Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, not only in the realm of acting, because I want to talk to you about more living over and where you live.
Oh yeah.
In Spain,
because I went over and took it in
this
another
is great.
direction.
I love that you said that, because not just in the acting realm, but I think in just every profession in general. Like, America is just this work. You got to hustle. But even if you're doing that, and even if you're quote unquote succeeding at that, one, you just get physically tired and burnt out at some point. Two, it's like you're not even, like we talk about staying present, you're not enjoying anything most of the time. And I've heard so many stories, and you're going to be able to correct me on any of this or educate me.
Yeah.
Spain in particular, I have heard in European countries are way more laid back. Like, they really take rest and leisure seriously. But not seriously, if that makes sense.
Seriously,
like because you have to make it.
Vacation is a serious business. There.
Yeah. So it's like, is it really like that? Like, I've heard in Spain, like for example, like people are taking naps in the afternoon. Things shut down for a couple hours so people can rest. And
yeah, I mean, during the work week, not as much. Or it's just that traditionally stores, like mom and pop stores, that would open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., close for lunch, nap, whatever, and then open again at 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. So that's the sort of nap time, right? But a lot of people don't take naps. It's just that the lunch is the most important meal of the day in Spain. And there's maybe not as much as in Italy, but there's an importance to cooking and having a homemade lunch and all that, and that takes time. And I think here in this country as well, I'll just grab a sandwich from the vending machine or something and keep working, right? So that's part of it. Yes, they do. They are more laid back, which of course it's a blessing and a curse. I enjoy it in some aspects, but of course there are some businesses where it's August and we're closed the entire month for vacation. Okay. So which is hard to comprehend.
Can go a little too far, right?
Yeah. I'm always in no man's land, because I'm here and I feel like, oh, they're too American for me, and I'm back home and like they're too Spanish. I'm always in no man's land. I can never be comfortable. Yeah, but that's why I love having this diverse group of friends. Right? You saw in some of my parties, a lot of my friends here were Spaniards or just Hispanics in general, and then a lot of just American friends.
And one thing I gotta say, like, you're one person that you know a lot of people. Like, some people will say to me, like, man, you know a lot of people, but like, you're someone that like, you know a lot of people, and like what you just said, not just a lot of people, you know a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
Have you always been a really social person?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I think ever since I was in school, it was just easy for me to make friends. Of course, we all have difficult times and we have our hang-ups and all of that, but it was never a stress for me to go to a certain place and make friends. I had these two friends I knew here in Beverly Hills where they knew I was the opener of certain groups, right? So they would just take me to the Four Seasons or something, and I would just start random conversations, and then I would introduce my friends to them, and then they would try to do business together. So my friend would call me Dan the can opener.
Oh my gosh! Well, hopefully they gave you a commission on those deals.
Yeah, well, I'm still waiting. Where's my commission? Yeah. Yeah, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I have a friend, actually, the friend I'm staying with in downtown here. He's very much an introvert. So I was asking him questions about that the other day, and he was saying, yeah, when I know I have to go to a place, I'm already thinking of excuses to say no. And I start to stress about who's going to be there, how many people do I know, and that was never much of a concern for me.
And even at this point, are you still pretty open to go? Because I'll speak for myself. Like the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm kind of like your friend. It's like, when is it?
Yeah.
What time?
A little bit. And I think the pandemic did that a little bit to all of us.
Yeah.
I found myself, once things started opening up, it's like, oh, I need to work this socializing muscle. I need to calibrate this, right? I'm a little rusty. But you get it in. I got it in 2 days or something.
Riding a bike.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I enjoy it. I love my alone time a lot too, but I don't think it drains me to socialize. It gives me energy. And I don't know for you, you consider yourself more an introvert? Or?
Both.
Okay.
50-50? Yeah, I'm like a 50-50. Like I have that extrovert in me. That I have that skill set, like you say, like I can go to those events and talk, but then like it just hits a point like shutting down. I need to go recharge and have a night by myself.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it now. I mean, there was a point where I'd go out every single night. Like,
oh, really?
I mean, years ago.
Okay.
But now now you're definitely right with the pandemic. That definitely. Yeah. It's weird because there's still times, I kid you not, where we're at an event or something and I'm like, are we still supposed to be like, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Like it's been 3 years or a little over 3 years, but it's like, it still feels surreal and weird sometimes when I'm at a big event somewhere.
Yeah.
Now,
and you feel like where's my mask? Oh, I don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just like, again, cause we were in for so long. I mean, hence we did our first one on Zoom.
That's right. Was that 2020 or 2021?
That was 2021.
Oh, okay. So
that was still in the thick of it.
Yeah.
A lot of that. So
that's right.
But yeah, I think, I mean, networking and like Dan the Can, that's awesome. That's such a valuable skill because not a lot of people can do that.
Well, I mean, I'm not a world expert at it or anything. Of course, sometimes I've gone to talk to people. It's like, no, thank you. Especially in bars when you would go try to hit on girls. Like, I'm not interested.
I was getting to that realm next. Yeah,
of course. We're going to talk about that. But in general, yes. I mean, I enjoy it, and in general, I feel pretty comfortable with people.
And is that a cultural thing in Spain as well? Like, I mean, it seems like people over there, are they a lot more social in that aspect? Like a lot more open with each other? Especially, I want to say in today's times, because I feel like here, again, I haven't traveled there yet, so I can't speak on it, but I feel here in America, everyone's just on their phone.
Yeah.
Is it like that over there too? Like, is everyone buried in the phone over there too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I think that's pretty much the phenomenon worldwide. Also, Madrid is the type of city which is a bit like New York. So you walk everywhere and you take the subway everywhere. It's my favorite subway. So even if people are on their phone, you're kind of forced to interact or
Yeah,
run
you're
into
you're
people.
amongst the people, you're
Yeah.
talking, you're sitting next to people. Whereas here in LA,
Yeah.
you're in cars a lot.
Yeah. And people are on their phone while driving.
Yeah.
that's a whole
not-
other issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that makes sense.
But yeah, I was telling someone it's kind of interesting because people think, I think people in the States have Europe a bit, what's the word? They glorify,
Romanticized?
they romanticize Europe. It's like, oh, everything in Europe is wonderful. Everything works. But at least in Spain, people look very happy. Like I was saying earlier, from a distance, because you go by and everyone's on those little terraces at the bars and they're having a sangria and they're socializing. It's great. But when you get close and you're listening to their conversations, all they're doing is complaining. You know? You're like, oh, my boss, man. But yeah, I think even if you're complaining, humans are naturally social. And I think it's a necessity that we have. Of course, it's food, water, shelter, but socializing is it's in the hierarchy of needs, right? I don't know what they call it in Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, human
it-
interaction or
It must,
whatever.
must be connection or
Yeah.
something like that. It must be in there, you know? And I think that a lot of people do therapy here in the States and people in Spain too. And I think it's very helpful and I have done it myself, but I wouldn't want that to be because they don't have anyone to talk to. I think it's more helpful to have therapy. Well, I'm not a world expert at therapy, but I'm just saying my experience. If you already have a great group of friends, a great relationship with your family, and on top of that, maybe a therapist can open your eyes to certain things. But if you're paying a therapist because you basically have no friends, that's kind of sad, isn't it? So,
I never thought of it like that.
well, and I get the feeling that people in this country don't talk to each other as much, but maybe I'm wrong. You know?
No, I think you're onto something. I mean, I don't think maybe that's the case for everybody, but I
Yeah.
think there's definitely the case. And, you know, when kids are growing up now in an iPad, basically,
Yeah.
I just feel like there's less and less human interaction going on.
Yeah.
Those basic skills,
Yeah.
like even those skills that you're describing,
Yeah.
and we'll get to the dating scene here in a second.
Your favorite topic.
Well, I'm just curious about how it is over in where you're at
Yeah.
too in Spain.
Yeah. Well, and before getting into that, I was going to say that sometimes I'm in the metro in Madrid and I see everyone on their phone and I decide to look up and kind of pay attention to people's body language and stuff. And all of a sudden I feel like I have superpowers because nobody else is doing that.
Yeah.
And for us actors, it's so important to be aware of what people do with their bodies, their breathing patterns. There's all kinds of stuff that you could pay attention to. You know, it's you can never get bored.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right about that. And it's funny you said that because there's times too where I do like snap out of it for the spell, even like at the bank. Like you go in the line at the bank.
Yeah.
Every single person is on their phone.
Yeah.
But it's like actually put it down and just stand there.
Yeah. You just look.
And just look and just watch. And
you're like, this is the Matrix. I can see everything.
Yeah,
Everybody else is not. You know?
Yeah, it really is. And man, it's gotten to the point with social media in the phones where it's almost like I've just accepted it is what it is. But like being able to step out of it, like you're talking about, is huge.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being constantly sucked in. And also just, especially when you are in bigger cities, you want to pay attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel bad, like, I'm such an idiot. I spent all this time on my phone before bed. But those apps are designed to addict you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard somewhere like when they design them, I mean, they're the same mechanism of like casino slot machines.
That's right.
To give you dopamine hits and like social media, like the notifications.
Yeah, that little red thing is like, ooh, I want to press on this. It's also what I think on the slot machines they use sort of a inconsistent reward pattern, right?
Yeah, like where it's gonna you'll hit and then you're not gonna hit, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm back up, I'm back up. It's just up and down. And there's times too where I actually feel drained after being on my phone too long.
Yeah.
Like I literally feel like it sucked my energy out. And someone like as humans, I don't know if we were meant to see this many images at one time. Just think about it.
Yeah.
And one thing I have gotten better about, not with stories, but scrolling posts, just doing doom scrolling.
Yeah.
I don't do that. And if I catch myself. But the stories, I admit, and then I just realized, like, I just channel surfed.
Yeah,
I just channel surfed.
That's right.
It's just like channel surfing.
What our parents used to do with regular TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except now our TV is attached to our hand and it's amplified times like 1,000.
Yeah, and it's worse because on the regular TV, they just had, I don't know, 6 channels originally, and they just play what they play.
Exactly.
And you can get bored and turn it off. But this stuff is specifically the things you're interested in.
Yeah. And the algorithm knows that, and it's going to feed the things that you like to see into the random feed or whatever it shows. I mean, mine's full of like Labradors.
Is that your thing, Labradors?
I love dogs and labs, and
that's good.
And like podcast stuff and all that.
Yeah.
But same with YouTube.
Yeah.
It sucks me in because I'm curious to know what that's about.
Yeah. And I always feel so frustrated when I want to go to bed at a certain time and I say, well, I'm not going to watch a movie because a movie is 2 hours, or I'm not going to watch an episode that is 50 minutes. I'm just going to be on my phone for a little bit, I'm just going to be on my phone for 10 minutes. Famous last words. Like everyone knows you're not going to be there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you could have seen the movie.
Yeah.
Which is much more rewarding, right? To see a movie and finish it, or finish an episode, or finish a chapter from a book. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, I've learned something. Mm-hmm. Like with YouTube and scrolling, there's never an end to it.
Yeah, never an end. Constant dopamine that you're chasing, and
yeah.
And it also hurts your attention span. One thing I've gotten more back into my reading, not this past week, but leading up to that, and I noticed it took me a second to get back into it because I'm like, oh my gosh, my attention span has been chopped up.
Yeah,
I'm like, but then when I kept reading and got through those first few, I noticed it started getting better and better. And when I would go to the phone again, I wasn't as interested.
Oh, good.
Because I was starting to break that connection.
Good. Yeah, when I would get into meditation at first, like, oh, I suck at this, but I'm just going to try. I'm going to put the timer on my phone and not do anything. And you get better at it.
Do you still meditate?
Once in a while, but I think I need to, after this vacation, I need to get back into it again. I keep breaking the pattern. Yeah.
What's your experience been with it?
Well, I don't know if it was a placebo effect or actually true, but I would try to do it, especially before I had a show, an improv show or a regular play. But back home, I've been doing mainly improv, and it kind of helps me be more aware of what's going on. You know, I meditate a couple times, helps me be more relaxed. But it's kind of a weird paradox because you're more relaxed, but at the same time, you're more aware of everything. So you're less tense.
Yes.
But you're catching more things from the environment.
Yes.
And of course, if you're doing an improv show, you gotta be paying attention to what's being said.
And that's what you're doing You're doing a lot of improv right now.
Yeah. So I joined my old improv club, and I joined an improv troupe in English there. Since I was doing the improv in Spanish here.
And you were doing those Zoom shows, right?
I was doing those Zoom shows, yeah. Impromundeando is what it was called.
Those were all in Spanish?
Those were all in Spanish. And we had people connect from Mexico and Colombia and all that and watch us live. So that was the cool thing about the pandemic. We would have never been able to connect with those people just doing live shows here.
Yeah.
And sorry, I totally avoided your original question. You were asking me about dating or something.
Honestly, dating.
I totally went in another direction.
I'm just curious because you and I used to talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I did get some people who liked what you had to say.
Oh, yeah.
On the dating scene in LA in particular.
Yeah. I was sponsoring Hinge or something on the podcast.
So you don't have to go into personal details about your life, but what is there a dating scene where you're at in the Spain area?
It's similar to here.
Similar?
It sucks.
Ah.
I mean, there's still the apps and everything. I think there's probably more a way to meet people in real life in person because, as I said, it's a very social country and people don't drive as much, so you can interact more with people on the street and metro. And even when you hang out with your friends, you're all walking together and taking the metro together and going to a bar together. That's something I really like from there, that any group of friends, once you know them a little bit, one of them will say, hey, it's my coworker's birthday, come along. And then the different groups of friends just merge and merge and merge, right?
Yeah.
And that's how people normally meet their husband or wife.
That's how it's supposed to work, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's still a lot of flakiness and ghosting with the apps and all that. Like, let's be real. Yeah.
So that may be a worldly thing. It's not specific to...
It's a worldly thing. I thought I had escaped that when I escaped LA, but no. It's a worldly thing,
Well, with your ability to not, you don't have that fear of talking to strangers and all that, so that has to be an advantage for you.
Yeah, hopefully I haven't lost my touch, but well, because once you get to a certain age, I like socializing with people, but I don't feel like partying all night anymore as much, and especially in Spain where you can party till 6 a.m.
I have heard those stories.
Which can be fun when you're young or when it's like New Year's Eve or something. But if you want to get anything done the next day, that's not very.
That's what those afternoon naps are for.
Yeah. And also both of my moves, even socially, were difficult because when I came to LA, I didn't come with a university program or anything. I came by myself.
Point blank, just came here.
Point blank.
Didn't know anybody.
I knew I had to follow my dream, and I said, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I did it.
Wow.
And I knew one person from Mendocino that was in LA, and I knew a distant cousin from my mom as well. So I knew 2 people in LA. And I left knowing a lot of them, as she said.
And you were here for 9 years.
Yeah,
that's
a
long.
That's a long time
for LA standard. That's
right. A lot of people came.
A lot of people
and left,
are here for
and they gave up.
Year.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2, maybe.
How long have you been here?
5.5.
Oh.
So yeah, I think I'm past. I graduated past the. I still haven't earned long-term status.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely out of the. I would say introductory.
Yeah.
Okay, he's made it past the couple year phase.
Yeah, you're not on that stage of I'm going to be a star in 12 months. If not, I'll return to Idaho.
Yeah, that's completely. It's funny because I was talking with Eric before this. Like, I don't even think about that anymore. Like, I don't even now. It's just this is just where I live, and now I'm doing this podcast, and LA's a great place because so many people come through here.
Yeah.
And even like you, like someone that used to live here, but you have great reason to come back. And
I'm not ruling that out.
Would you ever move back here?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not ruling it out at all. I mean, I actually remember when I was talking to you at my goodbye party, I said I was going to go to Spain for a year to a year and a half because I wasn't sure if I was going to like living in Spain again. I'm a different person now. And then we left. And Spain is a great country and has a lot of great things that I'm enjoying, but I've grown a lot here in LA.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's something I don't know. I haven't lived globally like you have, but I have lived in other areas of the country, and it does do something to you as a person, like the growth wise. Like, just to be in a different environment, different people, different. Yeah. I mean, man, it's such a powerful thing. So yeah, I mean, go live in Spain for another year, and if you want to come back here, you can. Like, there's no rules. Yeah, and I what I found that was very enriching for me is that you meet people from all over the world here. Yeah. It's crazy. I first came and met a group of Brazilian people and a ton of Australians. And I even met this girl from Burma, Myanmar, I couldn't even place it on the map before, It's like, where are you going to meet people from Myanmar before, Yeah, it definitely is. LA's definitely a global point for people from Vietnam, people from all over. And that is very enriching. I mean, you can't help it but learn from those people. Well, and even one thing I appreciate about here too is just there's so many different cultures, and you go over here to this city, it's one group of people. You go to the next, it's this, and the restaurants, the food, So I viewed LA for me. It's a way that got to expose me to global things without having to go global. I still want to travel and experience that, but it is definitely. That is probably one of my favorite parts, besides the weather.
Yeah, you can't beat
Can't
that.
beat the. What's the weather like in Spain? What's it like?
The weather, well, in Madrid, because of course we have different weathers in Spain, but in Madrid, it's a bit more extreme than here. It's very cold in the winter. Not New York cold, but definitely colder than California, right? And it's very hot in the summer.
Humidity too?
Not humidity. It's dry, so that's good. But the heat during July and August in Madrid is basically like the worst days in the valley here.
Wow. And are you near water at all over there? Or?
The river of Madrid, but it's a tiny river. I used to live right across from the river, which was nice. You know, there's a lot of green areas there that I enjoy. A lot of parks, a lot of places where you can public places where you can work out or even do drama. That's how I got started in theater. So after I first did a play in high school. Then I came to California. I did some acting classes, improv classes at a rec center. And back in Madrid, I just signed up for those local theater classes.
And you went to an actual program college-wise,
Yeah, that was later, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that on the last one.
Yeah, that was nice. I found out while I was in California, and I got the email. I got in, and I was running down the stairs. I got in, you know. I was so excited. And yeah, it was a great program. It was a bit old-fashioned because it was old Spanish theater from the Shakespearean times, but in Spain and things like that, which is very enriching, but it's not a commercial class, Killian's workshop, you know. It's not that at all. There was nothing on camera or anything like that, you know.
Okay.
But still, I was doing that along with going to regular university studying communication.
Okay.
So I had a busy schedule.
Yeah, man, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing any classes over where you're at now? Besides you're doing improv.
I was doing improv classes, but I'm actually going to start teaching classes there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Acting classes, improv classes?
Acting classes.
Wow,
yeah.
good for you.
I was teaching here at a place called The Playground.
Okay.
You know, in LA for kids. Shout out to The Playground. and I started here with kids. I had to leave it just because I decided to move back, but they treated me really well. And I'm doing something similar in a school there next year for the second semester.
Wow, that's really cool.
So I'm looking forward to it because you and I have talked a lot about acting, and there's a lot of great actors there that are not necessarily great teachers and don't really like the teaching, the theory aspect of it. But I'm not one of those people. I really like talking about acting and explaining it and all that, and hopefully I can be a good teacher. You know?
Yeah, I think you'll be a great teacher, man. And
thank you.
And one thing I was going to bring up, I mean, you're one of those people that you're very, I admire your dedication to your own self-improvement.
Oh,
I know you and I have had calls before in the past, like, you know, talking about your goal. You're very open about what your goals are, what you want to get better at.
I can be a bit intense sometimes.
But
yes.
I mean, dude, it's that's what it takes a lot of times to get that. You're very good at visualizing where you want to go and setting those goals and having that discipline.
I learned that from Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
You know how he said, "You gotta have a vision, okay? If you don't know where you're going, you can't do anything." The vision is the most important thing, okay? So sorry if it was a bad Arnold impression, but I love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's an IG clip right there.
Yeah. Have you seen the documentary, the Netflix one?
Have you Pump and Iron? Are you talking about
the Arnold one.
The recent one?
The recent one is
I'm talking about Pump and Iron, the one from the 70s.
Yeah.
When, that one's incredible, but no, I have not seen the. What's the
there's
recent
one called
about?
Arnold.
Oh, it's called Arnold.
Yeah, and it's 3 episodes. It's just his life. So.
Oh, I bet that's
really cool.
A guy, man. You talk about has lived an incredible life.
Coming here, man, and I think he came from poverty. You know.
Dominated bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Jumped into Hollywood. Dominated that.
Yeah.
went into politics, became a governor.
He's like the great governor of the state of California.
I like his. I follow. He has those like donkeys he lives with, or whatever. Whiskey
like
and Lulu.
and whiskey. Yeah.
So it's worth
funny.
watching, huh?
I like it. I'm a fan, so I don't know if other people are not, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, and you know how it was the Last Dance on Netflix, the Michael Jordan documentary and all that. I was really into that. I've seen it like 4 times.
Have you seen the Lakers one on Hulu?
No. Oh, the show. The
What's it called? Not the actual Showtime show they did.
That one. No.
So picture the Last Dance except for the Lakers. It's so good.
I want to see that one.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can tell you if it's better than the last. It's up there. Like it's close. I think I got to give Last Dance the edge.
Okay.
Because Jordan, obviously,
Yeah.
but man, I'll get goosebumps talking about this.
Aren't you from Chicago?
Illinois. Yeah, 3 hours south
so
of
you
Chicago.
were a Bulls
and I grew
fan,
up
right?
playing basketball. Yeah.
You're a Bulls fan, right?
Not like I couldn't call myself a but yeah, I had a Dennis Rodman jersey, and I wrote Dennis Rodman a letter when I was
did?
and I got a letter back.
Really?
But it was one of those like typed letters from the office. But at the time, I thought it was from him.
Maybe your letter is in Kim Jong-un's hands right now. So I don't know what you said, but he has it now.
But man, like, what a great era that was. And like in the Lakers, especially when, obviously the Showtime Lakers in the 80s.
Magic.
Yeah, what an incredible time. But then, man, and then I'll tell you what was underrated was that early Lakers, Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones.
Yeah.
Right when Kobe first joined, they had a heck of a squad back then, but then it takes you through the Laker years of then finally Kobe and Shaq winning those rings.
I remember Kobe was talking about Nick Van Exel, and he was learning from him in practice. And he used to say, "You reach, I teach. You reach, I teach." you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and what a story too! Like just the whole Lakers dynasty. And then obviously it goes through Kobe's championships with Pau Gasol.
Yeah,
that he wins. And I'm gonna tell you what one of the most incredible things I took from that was his last game. I still call it Staples Center.
The 60-point game.
60, 61 points, whatever it was. Yeah. Had a basically on one leg still. To go out like that and to do what he did. 20 years into the league and leave it. He literally left it all out on the floor.
It's like a movie ending.
It was like a movie. It was free. I get goosebumps even talking, but it's a movie.
It's a movie ending. And I remember that because it was a day before my birthday.
Really?
Yeah, it was April 13th. Mine's the 14th. And I watched it with my best friend from Spain, who is the one who got me into basketball here. Yeah, he's back in Barcelona now. But so it was really cool. But anyway, you were asking me, I don't know how we got into Arnold and the Lakers and all that.
Hey, man, this is a podcast. We can go wherever we want. I know another question I was going to ask. Yeah, I want to go back to your experience this past year. You said you're a different person.
I think so, yeah.
What are you able to, do you know distinctly what things maybe have changed in you or ideas or?
I don't know exactly what moments in LA or what person, but changed me or what event. But I know that I try. I don't always succeed. I try to force myself almost in interactions with people to be more of a listener and less of a talker. And people in Spain, a lot of people just talk all over each other all the time. So I think I've been a better listener, either by virtue of living here or just by doing Meissner repetition exercises, acting classes. It forces you to be a good listener and try to be a little less, going with the thing of being a better listener, being less judgy and more open-minded about things. I used to put a lot of limits on myself whenever I would talk about a goal or something I wanted to become and to achieve. And there was this little voice that, I don't know, it came from growing up in Spain, which was very much saying things along the lines of, well, yeah, but I mean, that's too much. Or, well, I mean, don't think you're going to be this big. Who do you think you are? There's a lot of that instead of actually, when a person is trying to share something interesting with you, a lot of that voice kind of creeps in and makes it difficult to listen is like, shut up and actually listen to the actual ideas. You might learn something, you know? So I think that's probably one of the main changes, I would say. There's probably more, but I can't think of any right
When I
now.
would think for your acting, I mean, not just your humanity, but like for your acting, that has to be a great addition.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, Meisner technique especially. I mean,
Yeah. Just be more interested in the person in front of you, you know? Because I already know me. I already see myself in the mirror every day. I know what I already know what I think. So sure, I can share it, but I don't have to always tell people, well, I am this type of person and I need to tell you, well, you know what happens to me? Well, you know how there's this, some people always redirect the conversation to talk about themselves.
it always becomes about them.
Yeah. Which I'm saying this on a podcast, which I'm saying, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I feel, and not to like
now we're gonna be so conscious every time we say
I'm the exact contradiction I'm talking about.
I ruined it because no.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like I feel, and even to social media, like I used to feel the need to share everything. I gotta tell everyone every update, and of course we're gonna take a picture after this, and I'm gonna post it.
Of course.
That's guaranteed.
Let's be real. Yeah.
But I have felt the need now. I don't need to tell everyone what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah.
They don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And it just, I don't know, it makes me more I don't know if confidence is the right word. It just makes me more comfortable, like in my own skin. Like where I feel like when you're constantly and look, like that's coming from a place of almost insecurity. Desperation, exactly. Like you need that validation.
Like we were talking about with social media.
Yeah.
Like a reinforcement. Ooh, people like me.
Exactly. You know, people want to get that perfect selfie, that perfect what. And I used to do it. I'll admit it. Yeah, I used to be in that boat. Like, let's see what this post can do. Let's see what this. Yeah. It's a drug.
We all fall victim to it to a degree. I mean, we're human. Of course, we're human, and we want to be liked or respected and appreciated by our peers. I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. But when it becomes a drug, like you say, then it dictates every behavior you have. And then you can't be free. Right?
That's deep right there.
Getting deep.
Yeah, no, you're right. It does. It almost is. It's a ball and chain, if you will, the phone and social media accounts and having, and then, you know, this is crazy. And again, with all due respect, and I've been this person too, but when you walk around LA in general, boy, can you spot an influencer like quickly now. Like it's almost like if I was in the wild, look to the left there, an influencer. Let's get a closer look as they're getting the right camera angle right there, and you know the right lighting. He's like
influences Instagrammies,
and it's like I used to do that stuff too, but I'm like, man, I'm looking at it, and now that I don't do it as much, I'm like, is this what we're doing now? is this society?
Yeah,
we've created this world. And again, man, I know the advantages. I know the tool it is that can benefit society, but then you got to weigh it. I'm like, but is what it bringing, is it coming at a greater cost?
Yeah.
Tying it into what you're talking about with human interaction. And because I feel when you do spark up conversation with certain people, like you can tell that they're really caught off guard. Like they are very uncomfortable.
Why are you talking to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're very uncomfortable very quickly.
But I think there's a way to make them comfortable after a while. I mean, there's always an initial uncomfortableness, but that is true to almost anything in life. I mean, the alarm clock goes off, you probably don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Right? But then you do, and you get going. It's like, I'm glad I got out of bed. So there's always an initial kind of uncomfortableness, but I rather have that. It's kind of like I'd rather be the friend who tells someone you have something stuck in your teeth, and for them to tell me, then you let me walk around and smile like an idiot and everyone sees that I have something stuck in my teeth, you know? So it's an initial uncomfortableness, but you get past it and then it's fine.
That's crazy you said that. I've literally been thinking about that exact.
Really?
Well, that same thing, like those little moments of uncomfortability, that when you overstep those are the growth.
Yeah.
And when I say uncomfortability, I mean like the things we're talking about, like, should I say something? Or, oh, I shouldn't, that's, you start getting that self-doubt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's better just to get out of the way for a sec, uncomfortability.
Yeah.
And then you say or do whatever the action is, and they're like, "Oh, well, that wasn't that hard.
It wasn't that bad."
And
we all have stories where we met a person that ended up becoming our best friend or a partner, a romantic partner, or a business partner or something, where maybe it was casual and you thought, well, better go home. It's easier to just go and watch Netflix, but I'm gonna stay for 5 minutes. Or I don't want to talk to that person. I don't want to interrupt them because they're going to think I'm lame. But then you do it and that person ends up becoming so important to you.
Yeah. And this is going to be a really random example of this.
Yeah.
I'm walking in Beverly Hills. I was in my work suit a while back, and I had a vest on. And this guy just as I'm walking goes, "Hey, unbutton the last button. You don't do the vest all the way like that."
Oh, really?
And I'm in Beverly Hills, so I had that logic of like, the guy was pretty well dressed himself. I'm like, well, what? So I looked it up, and sure enough, you're supposed to, on your vest with your suit, you leave the last button unbuttoned. Like, I guess that's one of the
etiquette.
And I'm like, you know what? I could have taken it. Like, who is he to tell me? Like, but actually, I thank him. I'm like, wow, he was just pointing out, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Because he was older than me, so he's probably looking, okay, let me
teach the young fella. Let me
teach this guy. And I'm like, I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful that guy said something to me, because ever since, and it's way better. It looks better. The suit flows better. I'm like, just that one guy saying something.
The one guy.
He did it so quick and didn't even look back. Just said it to me and just kept walking.
Well, he probably said, "You're welcome." That left, right.
So you're right. Like, there's a way to do it too, right? I mean, there's certain time and a place, but yeah, if someone has something in their teeth, like, hey, just wanted to let you know, you got something. You don't have to like, hey, you have something, where everyone.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Sam's got something on his teeth. You don't want to be that, but yeah.
But I think, I think that's a valuable skill. I think that's something both to be able to communicate that to someone, and then also for you to be able to receive that without taking it personally.
That's true. That's very true.
It goes both ways.
It definitely goes both ways. Yeah.
I'm actually going to quote Mr. Carnegie from Playhouse West.
Oh, Mr. Carnegie.
Yeah, he said something in a class, and I'm paraphrasing him, but I'm pretty sure it was along these lines. He's like, the quicker you can recognize your deficiencies, or something along the lines of, the more you can recognize your deficiencies, the quicker you can do the work to correct them. Basically what he was saying is you got to take your ego out of it and say, I'm not good at this, or I'm having trouble with this. But I think maybe, especially in the acting world and things like that, people, and I'll get your take on this, like, we get in our heads, or we take it personally, like, oh, they're just putting me down, and they don't know. And it's like, but hey, if you can just take, like you said about that uncomfortability too. Okay, it might be uncomfortable what you're hearing, but that passes. Now take that information that they were giving you and actually apply it into your life.
And I always tell my my Spanish students that you gotta, when they talk about practicing Spanish in real life, and I normally in class, if it's a group class, I'll have them talk to each other. And I say, okay, you guys have 10 minutes. I'm going to put myself on mute, turn off my camera. I'll just be here on the chat just in case. It's Zoom classes, obviously, in case you need anything, but it's you. And it's not just for them to practice your Spanish, of course. It's for them to get used to that uncomfortable feeling of not knowing what to say. And when I say, and they say, hey, I said hi to the taco person the other day and they understood me and I ordered in Spanish, and they're very proud of themselves. And but for the longest time, say, I was always afraid to say, it's like, it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie, but you need to get used to that uncomfortable feeling in you, and just push through a little bit. And you can just dip your toe in the water. You don't have to jump full on. Okay, I'm moving now without knowing a word of Spanish. I'm going to move to Guatemala for a year. Like, you can just do it little by little, but that little by little is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes you taking those first steps.
Yeah.
I mean, as cliche and as corny as it is, like it really is. Like, I mean, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Like,
Yeah.
it really does.
But
like,
that first step is the recognition, as you were saying. Like, then what? I've never been in a 12-step program for alcoholics, but they always say that's the thing, right? You have to recognize I am an alcoholic.
that's step one. Like,
right?
that you have I have a problem. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that step one is probably the hardest step to take.
Yeah. That's true, man. Man, motivating talk.
I think we should all do, and of course I'm as guilty as this as anyone. We should all do inventory a few times a year. And I always think people always think of New Year's resolutions, and I love them. By the way, I have I have a whole PDF of yeah.
You would too.
Yeah. I'll send you my thing. It's like a format where you follow everything. But also September really is when the year starts. Sometimes, like the school year. Well, I guess here they start in August, right?
Yeah, it used to be September,
Yeah.
but yeah, now schools start. They'll be starting here in a week or two.
Yeah, well,
probably.
Spain is basically September to June, but you can take
That's how it should be.
August, September.
Yeah.
That's also like a new year because the school starts. A lot of, if I'm doing my improv classes, that's when they start. A lot of, if I'm being a teacher, that's when it starts. So you can take that as well, right? And then my birthday is in April, so I can think, oh, well, that's also, I'm turning a year older, so you can do inventory of your year. So anyway, I think it's a good idea to have 2 or 3 spots to do recycle yourself.
Yeah, I call them something similar, like meetings with yourself.
Yeah,
Like have
I like
a meeting
that.
with yourself.
I like
Sometimes
that.
I will, when I get those moments, take out the notebook and whether go somewhere, a coffee shop or a place that you really want to just sit and think, and just start taking like what you said. You take inventory.
Do you journal often, or how's your process?
I used to. I need to get back journaling. This is that one's a tough one for me, and I don't know. Maybe that means I need to do it.
Yeah.
For some reason, like meditation and visualizing and doing my routines, those are great. But the morning pages stuff, I'd get into it for a while, but then I just hit a point with it where I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like it just doesn't
do anything for you.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like the right outlet. But I haven't done it in a long time, so I think maybe I would have a lot of benefit of going back to that now.
Well, I think if you skip it, I've done it too. I haven't done them in a while. I have periods of my life where I do them every day, maybe for 3 weeks or something, and then maybe I skip a few days. So I don't think there's anything wrong with skipping a day or two here because I heard somewhere someone was saying that routines are overrated. Sometimes
I've heard that too.
Because I think the whole self-improvement thing can also be a trap because it's like, okay, I gotta wake up at 6 and I gotta meditate and I gotta do my morning pages and I gotta have my special duper tea I'm doing my fasting and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then half a day has gone by and you haven't even gotten started with your day, right? You've done all these self-improvement checks of good habits, which of course they're good. Of course it's good to stretch and work out and meditate and journal, but it doesn't really matter. That's not going to give you the success you need necessarily. You just need to do what you need to do.
I'm going to piggyback off that, and you're exactly right. And I have to shout out Alex Hormozy and his wife, Layla Hormozy. They're business Instagram people. He said something that totally changed on exactly what we're talking about, especially on days where you got a jam-packed day. There's days where you don't have time to meditate for this long. And I'm a big proponent of sleep. I don't mess around with it. Like,
good.
I'm 7 to 8 hours, non-negotiable.
Smart.
And I just feel so much better doing that. And he said something, he's like, yeah, well, everyone concerned with all these morning routines. You know what the best routine is? Just get up and start working. I kid you not. There's been mornings where I realize I'm like, okay, am I going to spend maybe the free hour I have meditating and reading out of my spiritual book, or can I crank out what I need to for this podcast right now? Yeah. And just get to work immediately. It totally changed my perspective. Yeah. And I agree with you. Those habits on days where you're not as packed, of course. Yeah. But there is value too to like just getting up and getting stuff done.
Well, because it becomes a way to procrastinate. And I think especially for us actors, or I guess any artist or any person that works for themselves, it's so easy to fool yourself. It's so easy to think, no, but I'm watching movies, so I'm practicing my acting because I'm watching great acting. It's like, you're not doing what you're supposed. Let's be real. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Like, of course, you can get enriched by watching and reading great plays and all that. But if you have to prepare your audition for tomorrow, don't kid yourself thinking, no, but I'm listening to this podcast where Gary Oldman is talking about acting. It's like, yeah, but you still got to do the work, right? Like no one's coming to save you, right? You still got to do it. And the reason I'm talking about this passionately is because I do it all the time, and I've done it so many times.
Oh, I'm a self-help junkie too. Don't trust me. That's why I'm aligning with what you're saying, because I too have felt that. Well, you know what? I got to read this book and this book, and then that book told me I need to read this book and this book.
Yeah.
So once I'm done with that, then I'll really start to get my hand. It's like, man, the best teachers just to start doing.
Yeah.
And actually, I find it better to start doing, then go back to some of those books and stuff, because I understand it more, because I have actual real world experience to apply it. Whereas if you just stay reading the whole time, you have no experience to go off of.
Exactly.
And I'm just going to use this because we talked, but take dating, for example. That you can read every dating book on the planet and take all the courses and all this. Right. But until you go out there and start talking to women and actually asking them on dates
and feeling what rejection feels like.
What rejection feels like. Jordan
or joy or
yeah. Jordan Peterson said something one time. He said, if for guys that want to get over their fear with women, he goes, you know what you do? I'll say it in his voice. He said, he's like, it's easy. He's like,
just talk to them.
Yeah. He says, go out and I'll do it in my own voice. He said, go out and talk to 50 random women in one day and get rejected a bunch. He goes, because what will happen is you'll get used to the feeling of rejection. Now you'll no longer have that fear.
Yeah.
There is a lot of logic, and the same goes in sales.
Yeah,
and
the people that
acting,
have to
getting on
sales,
stage,
knocking on doors, or I mean, hypothetically, knocking on doors. Yeah, all those calls where people hang up on you. You know.
Yeah, but after you've gone through it multiple times, you're like, there's that uncomfortability, but like, oh yeah, I know this feeling.
Yeah, the best thing is both, and I want to apply that hopefully when I start teaching acting, or the type of classes I like to have a little bit of both. Like the theory is important too, but not more important than the practice. And I think part of the reason, so being an acting teacher was one of my goals and one of my dreams, but I don't think, maybe this will change in the future, but I never want to be an acting teacher without still being an actor myself, because I don't want to feel like a fraud, you know? So I think that goes back. I was just saying that in relation to what you were saying. I can just read the Larry Moss book, read the Howard Fine book, read a Playhouse West or a Meisner book, and then just repeat that to my students. And I can just be a vessel. It's like, well, Meisner says you should do this and this one. Yeah, but until you go on auditions and you feel that, then that you have to filter it through that, you know? That's why people want teachers that actually do the thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a very good point. I mean, and they also say too, the best way to learn is to teach.
Yeah, that's right.
And whether
that's one of the reasons.
Even at like work or your job, where someone says, "Hey, can you train so and so?" You realize you know way more than what you thought you did, and by articulating it and by having to put it together to present to teach someone else, you're actually learning more. You're reinforcing what you knew in your subconscious, but now you're actually bringing it to the forefront and articulating it.
Being deliberate about what you do. And that's why I was asking you earlier about the morning pages, or some people do a diary or whatever, because I think being a better writer makes you a better thinker. And one of my goals ongoing is to, especially now that I'm speaking in English, of course, I'm comfortable in English, but it's still my second language.
I was going to ask you that, because Spanish is your first language, right? That's crazy.
So it forces me to be more deliberate about what I say.
And you speak it very well.
Well, thank you. I was going to say about that when I was in one of the acting classes I took with Howard Fine, he hates it when people say like too much. And I probably said it way too many times on this podcast.
I've caught myself a few times.
Saying like or saying, those filler words. And there's an app called Say It Like So. You can download it. I mean, I think you have to buy it for $3 or $4, something like that. Something along those lines. And you speak into it, and you can say, I want to speak for a minute or 2 or 5. I want to talk about these topics. And you can mark the words that you want the app to listen for. And at the end of that minute or 2 or 5, it will give you a grading of that was a B- or an A+, a C- based on how many times you avoided those words.
I'm totally getting that app.
Yeah. Say it like so. I'll teach you later. I'll show you later.
And, I read somewhere too, just the ability to be able to really, I got to shout out Chris Clark, who wrote the book, Smooth Sailing for Hard Rocks. He has a section in his book where he's talking about really taking the time to put together your words correctly, like whether it's a text message or like being very intentional with your speech. So with what you're saying, because when you're saying like and trust me, on this podcast, when I listen back to sometimes, I'm like, and I've gotten better, but I'll still, it's like, man, it really is like, and I'm curious now that you're talking about writing more, becoming a better thinker, because it's all tied together, right?
Yeah, the meditation, the writing.
When I read more, that's when I feel my writing gets better too. And so it's all. And the more I'm talking, man, these social media just destroys it all. Like
you become, because we could read so many books during the time we're spending on Instagram.
Yeah,
we could watch so many movies. Yeah,
and you are right. It is better to go watch like a really good classic film or really good episode of really good, well done work of a show.
Yeah,
or even just listen to some really good music. Than to just scroll your phone aimlessly and just have your brain turn to mush.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you were saying when Instagram, for example, but it could be TikTok, YouTube, or whatever. They're directing your attention, and I found myself, of course, the algorithm knows what you're interested in. So I'll see something is like, oh, that's that actor I like, or that's that NBA thing I like, and I click on it, and now even if I put my phone down, now I'm thinking about that. I'm like, oh, I need to look that up online because I can't remember the name of that movie. So now I'm looking it up online.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing the things that I wasn't going to do originally when I woke up that day, but they've directed my attention.
Dude, spot on. I that's so funny you said that. And the thing is, I know this stuff.
Yeah, we know it.
Because they say you shouldn't look at social media right when you get off the bat for what you just said. Like, you should. I'm not going to tell people what to do, but a benefit of not looking at your social media is you get to decide the cadence of your day.
Yeah.
Intentionally. And that's where the habits of morning meditation and journaling are key. The mornings you can do it. Because exactly what you said, if I open up my Instagram and I just flooded my brain with things that just filled my head up and are going to send me in other directions that had nothing to do with what I needed to do today.
Yeah.
I don't need to Google where so-and-so lives, how many houses they have, or what they sold, whatever led me to whatever journey.
Yeah.
How many albums they sold in 1975. I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
Maybe later at night.
You see something about a certain movie, it's like, oh, I haven't seen this in 20 years. Okay, let me put it on my Netflix queue or something. And then you're doing these things that you never planned to do in the first place.
I wonder what else they were in. What other movies were they? And the next, exactly. There goes 20, 25 minutes right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the attention more than the time. It's hard to then get back into what you were thinking. So man, we got to destroy our phones.
Yeah,
let's do it right here on the podcast.
We're just gonna throw it out. We still got to take that picture though.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Then we can destroy the phone.
So
after the picture.
Man, this has been great, man. Talking to you, and I want to, as we're getting toward the end here. What? Because you're a visualizer, you're a man with a plan. Dan the Can.
Sometimes.
You can share as much or as little as you want, but what in the next year? Because you've been away from LA for a year. I know you're going to be teaching acting. You want to keep acting yourself. What's in Daniel's vision board for this next year?
My vision board. Thank you for asking me, because I that's something I had to do. So I was like, what is in my vision board? I've done very well, I think, considering since I came back in the commercial world. I got into an agency, about one commercial, another one. So I want to keep that going, but I really want to get into getting a good theatrical agent in Spain. They're also separated like here, and start to audition regularly and hopefully book TV and film there. And also, I'd like to be in a play, in a good play, because there's lots of um, little stages in Madrid where you can get your foot in the water, and that's great. But it's not. You're going to do it for no money, basically, or for €4 a show or something. So I love to regularly audition for interesting big plays and movies and TV. I think that's on the acting vision board. That would be it. And getting more teaching classes and all of that.
Yeah, I say those are
Yeah,
pretty good things to aim at, and you're well on your way to doing all of that.
Well, I like to reinforce, like you were saying, by teaching, this forces me to brush up on this acting concept. And I think what happens in LA, or what happened to me, I should say, hopefully it doesn't happen to you, is that we can, as actors, we can become a little too self-deprecating. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it's sort of like, well, I'm an actor. Well, I'm just another of the 50,000 actors that moved to LA. And I don't know. Sometimes I felt the need to be a little original and think, well, I'm an actor, but yeah, actors are the worst. They're always, it's easy to parody, and it's okay. We can all have fun and do a parody of ourselves. But there was I think I sometimes lost respect for the profession in that sense, and in turn for myself. And I think there's nothing wrong with being an actor. It's not only nothing wrong, is we should commend ourselves for the bravery it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the easy thing is to do the other thing. The easy thing is to stay in your hometown and get a stable job that your parents approve of and all your friends approve of, because they know there's stability there for when you need to get a loan for a house and all that. And I'm not knocking non-actors. Like, I hate everyone who's not an actor. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is sometimes we can deprecate, or not self-deprecate, or lose too much respect for ourselves. And now that we didn't get into this, but with the strike and everything,
I was going to bring that up.
I think the world can hear for at least a minute how important we are to keep things going, because we stop and the industry stops, and everyone loves watching entertainment.
You said something just now. Oh, I got a couple of comments. One is, you said the hard decision, or the easy decisions, not to pursue the artistic path.
Yeah,
you're exactly right.
Yeah,
that is the easy. It's the both are going to be hard, right, in the end, because if you do, Christopher Levy, to quote one of our teachers at Playhouse West.
Yeah,
I'll never forget when he said, when he talks to people, and whatever it's acting, music, whatever your artistic forte was or is, he's like, when he sees people leave it and he visits them later, and look, if you really wanted to leave it, then that's different. But I think the people that just maybe like, this is too much, I'm not going to do this, and maybe fell to the pressure of others perhaps. And he says, he looks in their eyes and there's just something dead inside.
Dead. Wow.
Like your soul, like there's a piece of you. And I think that's, to me, and right now this podcast, this is my artistic outlet at the moment, but it feeds that. It feeds like us having like a conversation like we're having, like it helps remind me, like, yeah, you don't have to do the traditional thing. And I think that's another reason about LA that I love. It's just everyone's on the same page with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain yourself here.
They get it.
Everyone gets it. Even if you're an accountant downtown, but you tell them like, yeah, but I do pop art punk shows on Sunday nights. People are like, oh, cool. Yeah. When is it? I'll come check it out. Yeah. Like they don't even think like you do that. It doesn't even cross their mind.
that was also one of my favorite things about LA. Like, people get it,
And then back to, I remember someone posted, when COVID first happened, the pandemic, and we're all like inside.
Yeah.
And somebody said something, don't forget who's bringing you all the entertainment right now while you're stuck inside. You're watching Netflix. You're watching shows, so what are your thoughts now that you come to LA during this time? I mean, literally down the road here at Universal.
Yeah.
They're protesting every day.
That's right.
Disney, everywhere. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I absolutely support the strike. I went the other day.
So you actually went and you
Yeah, I
protested
was
and
like, this is my
everything.
chance. I can't do it from Spain. When people are not doing it, they are
Yeah,
in Spain yet.
yeah.
And for the reason I mentioned before, because I don't know what's going to end up happening. I don't know what the agreement's going to, it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle, right,
Mhm.
between what we're asking and like any negotiation. But I don't even think that's the point. The point is, we are important for this industry, and you can't keep treating us like dirt because, well, not everyone treats, a lot of people treat actors decently, but I've had the experience where you're just totally disrespected for being an actor. I've had different agents, I've had different agents through my time in LA where they don't even return your email or your phone call, and they're your agent. It's not like an agent you're trying to pursue. And every time they talk to you, they don't have time for you, or they're trying to dominate the conversation and tell you what you should do, and they start with a speech of, oh well, there are so many people you could do it, and it's very hard. There's so competitive. It's like, well, okay, yeah, but I'm doing it. I'm paying my own bills. So I don't know. I think everyone deserves respect, and I think acting is a commendable profession. You have to be very brave and very perseverant, open-minded, hardworking. You're gonna be a superhero basically just to make ends meet.
Mm.
And on top of that, some people now, as I'm getting into the portion of I took it personally, like Jordan in The Last Dance, they just think that because they have a higher income or a higher number in their bank account, they're better than you and they can treat you, or they're smarter when their job is much more predictable, and there's an easier linear path to get to that,
Mm.
right? And that's not true. Not people's people's income or possessions don't determine their value.
I agree completely with that.
And of course, everyone, you've heard this before, it's a cliche, but I think it's true. No one, a person is not smarter than you because they have a corporate job or more worthy at all. So I think the strike can remind people that is like, hey, you don't have your job if it's not for me.
Mm.
So at least try to treat me decently, like you like to be treated.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And genius comes in a lot of forms.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think some people, like you said too, they may have done very well in the financial realm, whatever it is they did to get there, but that does not make you better, smarter,
Yeah.
or more valuable than anyone else.
Well, and especially if it's especially if it's in the industry, if it's a studio job or something, of course they should be compensated well, and of course what they do is valuable because if you don't sell the movie, nobody watches it, right?
Of course.
But I don't think that's more valuable than the actual artist that makes the movie happen, you know?
Well, now we get into the whole the AI discussion too, and that's and it just this is the thing too. It's not just this. I mean, this industry obviously is the one everyone's talking about right now, but this will be replicated across other industries as well. And how do I want to? What route do I want to go here?
Big can of worms.
Yeah, because it's not a 2-minute discussion. I'm with you. Like, yes, people look. If you started a big film company or studio, whatever you want, I'm just speaking from how I'm seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you put in all the money for that, and you created this, and you invested this. Of course, you should get a return. On that.
Absolutely,
and you make it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the people who are doing the work for you, they shouldn't be starving either.
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't have. And this isn't this. This is in industries all over the United States right now. Too. But now the film industry is speaking up on it. Because it just turns me off. Like people shouldn't have to work 3 jobs, like just to survive.
Well,
and live.
Yeah,
you know?
And for me, what bothers me. Well, I don't know how much time we have, but what bothers me is that a lot of times you do a short film for free because you want to get the footage and that's fine. Like I can accept that. It says no pay, and I can make a decision and say, okay, do I want to do it or do I not want to do it? And I'm free to make my own decision. Right. But I don't like the attitude where it's just assumed, well, of course it's going to be for free. What, you expect to get paid? Yeah, sometimes when you're starting out and getting footage, I sense that a little bit. Like, I was like, well, it's exposure, it's experience.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a lot of experience. I like to get paid now, like, because when I had to go to acting classes, I had to pay for those acting classes, you know, and for headshots.
I was just gonna bring that up. I don't
Yeah.
think people realize how much money goes into being an actor.
Oh,
It's so
that
expensive.
could be a whole podcast.
Yeah, it's so expensive. Like the classes, the headshots that you constantly, like your agent will tell you. And that's the thing for me. Like I'm not even pursuing the acting industry at this time. You know, I started to before COVID. And yeah, you were actually one of those people that helped tell me. Yes, now that I remember, you were one
was
of
it me?
I have to shout out you, Mike Carden, and Brian Meyerhofer.
Oh, Mike and Brian.
Yeah, Mike and Brian, like you three were three that when I came to LA, I'm like, oh, you just come here and you start doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then you guys are like, no, you have to, first of all, you have to learn how to act. That's number one.
Yeah.
Second of all, once you figure out that and you figure out your type, you have to start approaching managers and agents and getting representation. You have to go get headshots. And I really just opened, I'm like, oh my God, like this is a huge thing. Like,
yeah. And finding your niche, because nobody cares that you're an actor or you're a good actor or that this is your passion. Nobody cares, right? They want to care about like where do you fit in the marketplace?
Yeah, exactly. Because even if you are a phenomenal actor, if you don't know how to market yourself and position yourself.
Yeah.
So that all being said, it's like, yeah, it's not from an outsider looking in. It's like there's so much, people give their heart and soul to this. So it's
that's why I have so much respect for actors. Well, and I think, well, it's what I was saying earlier. We can say, oh, actors are weird and they're silly. It's like, and we are.
Yeah.
We're weird.
There's truth to that.
We're crazy, but not a lot of people recognize the effort. The effort is there. The learning curve is there. The open-mindedness is there. The work ethic is there. The perseverance is there. I don't think a lot of people in other industries have this amount of perseverance. You know.
I mean, it really does. You really do.
love it.
Several people have said on this podcast, and again, I'll quote him, Christopher Levy.
Chris.
I remember him saying several times, like, if you can make money doing something else and you don't 110% want to do the acting thing, go do the other thing.
Yeah.
Because be prepared for a lot of...
A world of pain, like they say in The Big Lebowski. You're entering a world of pain.
But I will say the advantage of today is we can make our own content.
Yeah.
And we can create our own projects and we don't...
Content.
Yeah, like here we go. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's... I'm not waiting on anyone to tell me or give me permission or give me a shot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to do this. You know, whatever happens with it, happens with it.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
And it gives you power. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
but
you're fine.
It gives you power because you say, look, I'm going to work on my short film. I'm going to write my script.
Yep.
And if an agent gives me an audition, I'll do it if I can. But I'm not supplicating for an opportunity. I'm creating my own opportunity.
And I think that's one thing, and I believe this since I moved out here, even if you're just the fact that if you came out here and you got an acting class and you're getting involved in short films, you've made it. I don't care what anyone tells you. Financially is a different discussion.
Yeah.
But the fact that you made the decision to try something, that to me counts.
Well, and for me, it's like that thing they say about love, but I would apply it to your love for acting or whatever your passion is. We talk acting because that's how we met, but it could be music, it could be painting. It's better to have loved, and I don't even know that I'm butchering the quote, but it's like to have loved and have forgotten, or
better to love and had lost than to
never.
than to never have loved at all.
Yeah, so it's the thing. I think if a person comes to LA and spends 2 years and they do their thing and decide it's not for them and they go back, I don't think there's any shame in going back.
Absolutely not. It's another human experience, another chapter in the book.
Yeah. And then maybe they never do acting again, but they've learned certain things or made certain friends from their acting time that they take with them, you know?
We were talking in a car on the way here. I've known you for 5.5 years now.
That's
here
right.
we are. Did we ever think, this is what's crazy, did we ever think when we met over at that studio across the street, Playhouse West off Lancashire,
Yeah.
that 5.5 years later, we'd be across the street in an apartment recording a podcast. Like,
Yeah.
I just remember doing repetition with you at rehearsals.
That's right. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
It was a magic era.
It was so much fun. I have very good memories of that time. And I'm not just saying that. I really do.
Same here. I don't think I could have had a better introduction to Los Angeles, especially with that initial group of people, you being those one. Like,
And we had a great class with
great class.
Brian and Ford. And
Joel.
Mike. Well, Mike wasn't in that class, right? He was in a different one.
No, he came to that class.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Charlie, Eric,
Yeah, it's great.
Ford. I mean, you remember Karen, right?
Yeah.
Karen did this painting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's her.
Nice.
Charlie did these paintings.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Ronaldo Masters.
Nice.
So
This is great, man.
and then Eric, who's here filming us, he's Playhouse.
Eric.
It's just like I got friends for life, man.
Yeah.
From it. Even if I never get involved in a film ever or
Yeah.
play, I still like being close and around it because, like we were saying, it's where you can. This is a place in a group of people where you can pursue anything and no one has judgment. And in
Yeah.
fact, not only do they not have judgment, they give you encouragement.
Yeah. And I encourage you to come visit me in Spain.
Say no more, man. I'm getting
Yeah.
my passport
Yeah?
soon. Yeah.
Good, man.
Europe trip. I want to go to. How close are you to Italy?
Well, depends what you mean by close.
Like if I come to Europe,
Yeah.
like is it reasonable to go to Italy?
Oh, yeah.
And then you take the trains everywhere, right?
Yeah. Some people, one of my friends is doing that. He's going to visit Germany and France and London and Madrid. So
I want to do
short
exactly
flight
what
is
he's
maybe.
talking about.
When I went to Rome, I think maybe remembering this, it was 2.5 hour flight, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 3 hours. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's short flight. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking forward to now in this next chapter in Europe is visiting all those quick visits. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you can do to European countries.
Yeah, man. No.
Yeah.
I know my girlfriend. We were. Italy was like one trip we definitely want to do, but I want to explore everything over there.
Yeah.
I've never done the quote unquote Euro trip.
Oh, you have to. And if you go to Italy and Spain, don't be on a diet. Okay.
That's all going out the window.
Yeah. You just can work out before, you can lose weight before, and then go and just.
But I hear
have
the
a
food's
blast.
cleaner. I hear the food's cleaner over
Yeah.
there. Or is that me romanticizing
No,
Europe
it's
again?
cleaner. I think that
Yeah.
romanticized version is true to a degree.
There is true because I've talked to people. They go, I went to Italy and ate everything,
Yeah.
and I didn't even gain weight. But then here in America,
Yeah.
I ate like that. It just went south quick.
It's a bit cleaner, and I think the structure of how most cities are in Europe, it forces you to walk a lot more. Because you're probably not going to rent a car there,
No.
and even if you were, there's places you can't really access with the car. You have to walk.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to walk. I mean, how much do you walk here?
Well, I mean, besides me walking my neighborhood, I mean, I'm in the car a lot.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
So you probably walk triple or 4 times what you
'Cause
would
you're
normally
walking
walk
everywhere
here.
you gotta go. Yeah.
Even if you're not going for a walk, just getting places.
You're just using that for your
Yeah, so
transportation.
those, the 10,000 steps, it's easy to get, especially if you're on vacation, you're probably going to get 18,000 steps a day or something.
Well, I'm just going to put this out in the universe. Maybe part 3
Ooh.
will be in Spain.
Yeah, I should get my own little setup here and we can do it in Spain. Can you imagine?
Honestly, man, that sounds so great to me.
And I can be interviewing you.
Maybe that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it's going to be. I'm throwing that out
Okay.
in the manifestation, but
I
I'm
need to
actually going to
start-
do the work to get there. I'm just not going to throw it out and then
Yeah.
expect to meditate and it's going to happen.
I need to start thinking, what's my podcast going to be? Now I have homework to do.
Yeah, no. But Daniel, this is a treat, man. I honestly
yeah.
view this is a gift that we got to do this.
Yes.
And the timing
Yeah.
and everything aligning. Before I always give the guests the last word, is there anything else you want to mention while we're recording here?
Just, it could be anything for you, for me.
Well, that's more the last word. Or
Yeah.
is there any other updates with you that you wanted to share?
No.
Or have we pretty much covered everything?
I covered pretty much everything. I'm on vacation in LA. I'm here until Tuesday. I'm going to spend another week and a half in Northern California.
Oh, that'll be nice.
And then back to Madrid, back to the grind.
Back to the grind. man.
So, yeah, I'm just so happy to be here and to see you.
Awesome. Likewise. And
Yeah.
if people want to follow you on the social media channels,
this is the time.
The thing that we've been bashing the whole time.
This is the time.
Where can they go waste their time on social media?
If you want to waste your time.
Not with you, but on the app.
If you go to Instagram, is Daniel John Silva. And that's my actor name now. It used to be Daniel J. Silva here, but in Spanish, it was kind of weird to say the J, Daniel J. So I changed it to Daniel John, which is my real name. So I didn't have to change anything. So IMDb, Daniel John Silva, danieljohnsilva.com is my actor website. It's my Instagram and it's my Twitter. So.
And Bacon Bad's on your website? Is that
Bacon Bad is there. Yeah. I'll always be remembered for Bacon Bad.
You've done a lot of other great things, but people should check that out.
Well, when I win my Oscar, I'll make sure to eat some bacon afterwards.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much, my friend. And I always give the guests the last word. What do you want to leave us with? It can be absolutely anything.
If people want to listen to my advice on somehow, be intentional with your thoughts, with your words, with your actions. Respect everyone, actors, and it's your life. It's nobody else's. So enjoy it.
Well, Daniel, this is a pleasure, my friend.
It's been great, man.
Yeah, man. Part 3, Spain.
Part 3 in Madrid.
Sooner than later, my friend. Brother, it's been good seeing you.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Sam Dever podcast. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you watch the podcast, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@the Sam Dever podcast.